Bella, you may want to get out of there. Well, what's up guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and it's that time of year. So today's just a little bit iffy on the controlled burn situation. It's perfect time of the year. Mid-February, the grass is dry, the leaves are dry, but I'm just kind of doing some test burns this afternoon. I'm hoping by this evening the humidity level will come up, the winds will be calm, and we can do a little bit of bigger controlled burns. But controlled burns are something that I've done on my property for years. Like, I actually started back when I was in high school. So with a couple of buddies of mine and myself, we would always come out and do some control burns in some of the safer areas on our property. But I use fire as a management tool for the ground and for my my wildlife. So you guys know, over the years we've built a lot of trails and stuff on our property, and part of the reason we have those trails is for a fire break. So as you can see, this fire right behind me, obviously this is very short grass, but this fire can just keep carrying across here. But I'll use those trails, which there's a little bit of a road right here, not exactly a fire break, but I'll use those trails as a fire break so I can manage smaller fires in a more controlled environment. Because the last thing I want to do is come out here on 110 acres, light it on fire and just let it take off and burn where it's going to go. You have to be very careful and very smart and diligent when you're doing these control burns. So where I'm at right now, you can see the creek is a very good fire break, but I own that side of the creek as well, and you can see how grown up it is over there. I'm not able to burn that part of my property right now just because I don't have good fire breaks on the property boundaries. And if it gets away from me, I could set it and it would, you know, burn towards the creek on the right wind direction days, but not always. And there's a big hayfield on the other side that my neighbor owns, and I definitely don't want to burn my neighbor's hayfields. So I want to go over a few things today. I don't know how much big burning we're going to get to do. I've got a couple hayfields that we didn't get to cut last year because of dry weather conditions, but they are standing dead in grass about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. Probably not going to be able to burn the big field today, maybe get to burn the small one, but I'm just kind of seeing how it's going right now, doing a test burn, a test fire. And let me go over a couple things and show you what I do and why I do it to try to make these controlled burns as safe as possible. So I don't actually have a fire truck set up, which would be nice, but one of the most useful tools is a side-by-side like this, because it'll haul all of your stuff, get you in and out. This is my Kubota Sidekick. You guys have seen this thing for years. And then the next most important tool is this battery-powered 40-gallon sprayer. And you wouldn't think that this little bitty thing that only sprays a little bit of water would do a lot, but I do a lot of burning in the trees and in the timber. And when you can just walk along and kind of cut the fire off. Here, let's try it in this grass real quick. I'm kind of far away, but I'll show you. Just a little bit of water will knock down quite a bit of fire, and I can just get in the side-by-side and drive along next to this, and it is very effective at controlling a fire. The next favorite tool for me is a leaf blower, especially in the leaves. This is kind of grass, mostly grass, but you can fight a lot of fire with a leaf blower. Watch this. Now it's not going to be perfect, you can see, but if you got a fire line in the timber and a bunch of leaves, you can either go through and blow out, clear out that fire line ahead of time, or, I mean, like a small fire like this, we can put this fire out fairly easy, at least get way ahead of it within, what, 30 seconds probably? See, most of that fire line's out. I'm blowing the wrong direction with the wind right now, but as you can see, it really doesn't take a lot. You're just trying to knock it down so that when you come through with your sprayer, you know, it makes it a little bit easier on you. This might be a little bit better example. I'm not blowing into the wind, so I'll take my leaf blower in here. And you just head it off that entire flank or side of this fire. Even when I'm blowing into the wind like this, as long as I'm blowing everything into the black, into the area that's already burned, you can really get ahead of a fire. Now when it comes to igniting your fire, I guess I should have started off with that. You can do just about anything. The professional way of doing it, if you're actually really doing a control burn and you're doing it the right way, you get a drip torch, which is a tool that's made that mixes gasoline and diesel, and it's got a little wick on the end of it, and you can basically just pour out a line of fire on the ground and put in a pretty good fire line in a hurry. The problem with a drip torch is you can almost put out, or well, you can lay down almost too much fire at once, and it gets a little bit dangerous. For something as simple as what I'm doing today, well, I better stop this fire before it gets to my sidekick. It's parked in the dirt, but the wind's a little bit shifty. As you can tell, it was just blowing that way. But it's fine, it's not gonna get to the buggy right now. This little butane torch, like what a plumber uses, it's got a little burner on the end of it. This one's butane, you buy them that are propane. These make a very good little fire starter. Fusees or like flares, they work great. The problem is once you light one up, it's not going out till it burns out unless you throw it in a pond. But honestly, just a whole package of those wooden matches, you chunk them out on the ground, throw them in the leaves as you light them, or a cigarette lighter, or one of those long like a patio grill lighters, anything just to get the fire going. It's very important to know your weather conditions, know your humidity levels, know what you got to figure out what's a safe area, know the wind direction, wind speed. Look at that full day forecast. Don't just look and see what the wind's doing right now. Look 2 or 3 hours in advance, because a lot of times that wind can shift on you and take the fire a whole different direction. But right here, we're pretty safe. Down in the hole, this creek wraps around a couple directions. Then I've got the driveway that goes up over here. So I've got multiple fire breaks in multiple directions. We're just creeping through the leaves, kind of doing a little bit of a test burn right now. Well, there's a lot of different reasons to do control burns and a lot of different perks and probably some negatives, but really there's not many negatives if you're safe and have it under control. But you know, the perks are going to be, it's going to help control the dead vegetation on your property. And one of the things that we deal with a lot here is eastern red cedars. They're little juniper trees. You don't see many on my property because I keep them all cut down. But in areas where you may have an overgrown, you know, field or overgrown timber like this, those little green cedar trees will pop up. And if you've got enough good dead grass and leaves on the ground, you can really manage those cedar trees and control them. They're very invasive and can take over, but it's also going to burn off all your weeds. So like my hay pasture that we're wanting to burn, there's a lot of good grass on it, but it's all dead forage right now. And when spring rolls around, all the new grass is going to have to compete to come up through the dead grass. If we can burn that off, it's going to put a lot of good organic matter into the soil. I don't burn those hay fields every year, but every 3 or 4 years, it's good to let them rest and then burn them off and start fresh. Whew, that smoke's getting to me. And with the first rain, after you burn the first little bit of moisture, it's going to green up, I mean, almost overnight. And you know, you're not going to want to graze your livestock on it right then, but within a few weeks or a month or so, it's going to be a whole different looking field if you want to graze it. And as soon as it greens up, the wildlife are going to hit it. Like as soon as, I mean, within a couple days after a little rain, it'll green up and you'll have deer and turkeys and all kinds of stuff scratching around in it. So it's really good for the wildlife. So this is something interesting to note right here. I just started this little fire, very minimal dead grass. I mean, 6 inches, some of it was a foot tall, not real thick. You could see the wind was carrying it this direction. This is called the head fire. It's gonna go that direction incredibly fast with the wind pushing it. And then this backside here, you're gonna call it, I'm not sure what the technical term would be, but this is like basically a back burn. You can start the fire into the wind and let it burn that direction. It's gonna burn very slow. So if you got a fire break set, say you had a 10-foot wide strip down to the bare dirt, the wind's blowing this direction. If you light the fire on the right side and let it back burn, it's gonna be nice and slow. The little fire's creeping through the timber really well right now. We're not getting 100% burn on the leaves, but getting quite a bit of them burned up. You can see there's still a lot of organic matter left on the soil. We're not burning this down to bare dirt. It would be near impossible to burn all of the leaf matter. So there's still a lot of good organic matter for the soil. We're not necessarily harming all the earthworms and everything under the surface of the soil, but we are burning up a lot of the brush and the dead stuff. And there's a couple burn piles I had piled up over the years, just kind of pushing all the stuff off of this edge. There's one pile burning there and one small pile burning over there. So doing some good cleanup. This side over here is burning pretty slow, which is what you always want. You don't want it to just sweep across the forest floor and be done in 10 minutes. A good slow burn is gonna help kill things like ticks and all the stuff, bugs on the ground, you know, that we hate so much. But seems to be burning pretty good. Got a little spot fire popped up, trying to keep it from crossing this fence. And there's no reason to burn up all the dead grass where the cows and alpacas and donkeys and everybody are at. So, let's go put this out before it gets out of our reach and we have to go around. Bella, are you on safety patrol today? You keeping us safe out here? Is that creek not the most beautiful thing you ever seen? I know it's not the ocean, but it sure is beautiful. And it's right here in my backyard. You know, I feel like in modern times we've become afraid of fire, and I feel like fire has always been a tool. If you go back less than 200 years in our history of our country, fire was a natural part of the landscape. Today, the people that help with fire are called firefighters. They're fighting against the fire. Yeah, things can get out of control. I do know that. We do need firefighters. But I think in modern times, we've just became afraid of fire, and the Native Americans always used fire as a tool. Just like the bison, the huge 1 million+ herds of bison would come through and mob graze an area. Fire came through and cleaned up an area and made it more fertile, made the grass better, made the whole area better for the grass to come back and refeed those bison again the next year. Okay, folks. The fire is under control.
Are the steaks in the microwave?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Steaks are in the microwave. You want to come out here and put them on a stick and cook them over my fire?
No.
Oh, okay. Just an idea. Well, as you can see, I'm all but finished with this stretch. All I was going to do is go up the driveway to right here where I have a trail made. I tell you what, I wish I could do is burn that side. Look how thick and brushy and gnarly and grassy and all grown up that is. I don't actually own that piece of property. I wish I did. I wish my neighbor would sell it to me. So basically the driveway here is on my property. That fence line's our property line. They haven't touched that in 20 years probably. There's a couple trees that have been cut down over here, but that's just the power line company when they came through. You remember trimming trees and smoking weed, I don't know, a month or so ago. They just cut all those down and left them laying. But anyways, I'd love to be able to burn that. I just don't own it, and it sure would look a lot better if he'd let me burn it. All right, on to the next project or next spot. So pretty much got all of that fire burned down. There's still a bunch of little embers burning, little logs smoldering and things like that. But I don't feel quite safe enough to light those big hay fields by myself. The humidity is way too low, and those are just incredibly hot fires that are going to burn very fast. And if I had a few more people and a little bit lower humidity, I might feel safe enough. But the wind's pretty well laid down. We've still got about a 5-mile-an-hour wind maybe. So I think I feel confident enough that I can burn the pond dam off. Now this is one of those control burns that I try to do every year, because the quickest way to lose a pond dam is to not maintain it. And if you don't maintain your pond dam, that means you're gonna have trees growing up in it and brush and all kinds of stuff. And before you know it, the tree roots are gonna be basically going all the way through getting into the water over here, and you'll have leaks and stuff. I think we do possibly have one small seep, somewhat of a leak out the back of the pond, but it's been like that for years. We get those horsetail reeds that pop up at the creek growing in one little area down here, but there's just barely any moisture that stays down there. So, however, there is a lot of dead Bermuda grass, and this stuff, I'm gonna basically set up all the cameras. I'll put the drone up in there, and I'll walk the bottom of the pond dam, igniting that, and it will climb this pond dam and burn completely across it in probably 5 minutes. Okay, small change of plans. I think what I'm going to do, the wind is out of the south, which is this direction. I think instead of starting the fire at the bottom, I'm going to start it right across the top on the edge and let it burn into the wind. It's really short grass across the pond dam where we drive. So I think it may be safer to go ahead and light it across the top, like I was saying earlier, and let it burn into the wind a little ways, and then go to the bottom and start it and let it take off up the hill. All right, here we go. Wish me luck. That grass is going to take off quickly. Bella, you may want to get out of there. Squeezing it all the way. There you go. Hey, don't walk straight into the smoke. Come over here. Come to this side and stay out of the smoke. There you go. So I told you that wasn't going to take long, and I was definitely right. It won't take too much longer for this fire to get to the bottom of the hill, and then it'll kind of fizzle out, I imagine. We may have to put a few more bits and pieces out, but judging by the way this looks in here, it's not going to carry through the timber very well. And the closer we get to sunset, the higher the humidity gets, and this fire will burn out. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll have to put out a few more places, but starting it at the top of the pond dam and letting it burn down the hill into the wind worked very, very well, I will say. It just didn't flash burn, you know. Having it creep down the hill lets it burn a little bit slower and hopefully kills a few more of those weed seeds and brush, little saplings and things. Some of the stuff you see up here now is just like broomweed and ragweed and things that didn't burn all the way down, but hopefully it protects our dam from any more brush and saplings growing up for the next few months or for this next year. And we'll do this one just about every year if we have the chance. And as I said earlier, fire can be a great tool. It can be a great asset for property management and maintaining your property for so many different reasons. I do encourage you to do your research first. Know your local laws, know your local regulations. For me personally, I don't have to have a burn permit. All I have to do is call my local fire department or the 911 center basically and notify them of a controlled burn, and then we do it. And once the fire's out and burned down, we'll call them back and say, hey, the fire's done, it's all under control, everything's good, so they don't send the fire department out. You may be required to have a burn permit in your area, and it may not even be legal for you to do this at all. Everywhere's a little bit different. One thing about our area, and something that's new, is these local burn associations. Look at this, burning this dead grass. It's doing really good. We have, what'd you find?
Skull.
A raccoon skull, probably.
Yeah.
We have some local burn associations, which basically it's just a bunch of local property owners that go together and get some grants from the government and things to be able to do some very controlled, prescribed fire. And you get a lot of help. You can get some grants for some fire breaks and fire lines, and it's also, you know, they also help bring in extra equipment and things, so it's really nice. But for as small of a fire as we're doing today, there's really no reason for all of that. It's for times when you're wanting to burn, you know, 20 to 100 or 200, 300, 400 acres. It's good to have 15, 20 people show up. It's a lot safer. It's a controlled, prescribed fire, and it works out. So we're gonna keep an eye on this and then go home, cook some supper. I think we're cooking some steaks on the grill tonight. And yeah, so good day, safe fire, and no big issues. Like I said, always, always, always check the weather, check the wind, check the humidity, anything. Contact your neighbors if you're gonna be burning close to your neighbors. And fire is a tool, don't be afraid of it. So guys, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day. And as always, we'll see you on the next video. Sprayer out.